General Motors, the company responsible for giving the world the Corvette, a car that makes you feel like a rock star, and the Escalade, the preferred mode of transport for anyone who believes chrome and cubic inches equal luxury. But while GM has cemented its place in American car culture, it has also spent a fair amount of time dabbling in absolute lunacy. Enter the Astro experimental vehicles, three completely bonkers concept cars from the late 1960s. Now, concept cars are supposed to showcase the future, but these things, they look like GM hired a group of sci-fi writers, locked them in a room with unlimited coffee, and told them to design something NASA would drive to the moon. And the best part? GM never actually built them properly. Nope. Just a single prototype of each, now gathering dust in the General Motors Heritage Center, hidden away like a shameful family secret. Occasionally, they let a few lucky enthusiasts catch a glimpse, which is a shame, because even by today's standards, these cars look like they just teleported in from the 23rd century. So, what exactly did GM come up with? Well, we've got a rear-engine Corvette doppelgänger, a jet-inspired three-wheeler, and other wild attempts at rewriting the rule book of car design. Fasten your seatbelt, because things are about to get weird. Back in 1967, when the world was busy putting men on the moon and pretending the future would be full of jetpacks, GM decided it needed to build a spaceship for the road. And thus, at the New York Auto Show, they revealed the Chevrolet Astro I. A car that looked less like a Chevrolet and more like something Captain Kirk would park on the Enterprise. Designed by Larry Shinoda, a man whose resume includes the Corvette Stingray, the Astro I wasn't just about looking futuristic, it was also an experiment in aerodynamics. GM wanted to show off what happens when you take a car, slice its roof down to an absurdly low profile, raise the back end, and hope it doesn't take off like an F-16. The result? A sleek, fiberglass machine so lightweight it could probably be blown away by a strong breeze. It was powered by a Corvette Flat 6, an air-cooled 240 horsepower engine that had been around since 1961. Now, 240 horsepower might not sound like much today, but back then, it was enough to get you places in a hurry, assuming you could actually squeeze yourself into this thing. Because here's the best part, there were no doors. No. Doors were far too ordinary for something called Astro. Instead, GM went full sci-fi and gave it a pop-up canopy. Yes, the entire roof, lifted off like a fighter jet's cockpit. But wait, it gets even crazier. The seats didn't just stay in place, they lifted up with the canopy, meaning you could sit down comfortably at a normal height. And then, like some kind of futuristic amusement park ride, the car swallowed you back into its cockpit. What's the top speed of this thing? Nobody knows. And since GM only built one, currently locked away in the General Motors Heritage Center, it's likely we'll never find out. But let's be honest, if it had taken off, GM probably would have called NASA and asked for landing instructions. Right, so after the Astro I proved that a pop-up canopy and sci-fi styling won't actually get you to the shops, GM decided to try something a bit more serious. Enter the Astro II, the company's first real attempt at a mid-engine Corvette, because apparently someone at GM finally realized that putting the engine behind the driver might just be a good idea. Now, this was no dainty experiment. Underneath its curvy, low-slung body sat a Mark IV V8, shoving out a very healthy 400 horsepower, straight to the rear wheels through a 2-speed transaxle. And no, that's not a typo. 2 speeds. Because apparently, someone at GM thought, why have 5 or 6 gears when you can have 2? But let's talk numbers. The Astro II weighed 3,400 pounds and stood just 43.7 inches tall. To put that in perspective, it was lower than most modern sports cars and about as subtle as a flamingo in a tuxedo. The mid-engine layout gave it superior balance and handling, and honestly, it looked absolutely stunning. So why didn't GM build it? Well, that's the best part. The C3 Corvette was selling like free beer at a music festival, 28,566 units in 1968 alone. In other words, GM executives saw no reason to mess with success. Why gamble on a radical new design when the old formula was still raking in cash? Then there was the gearbox issue. The Astro II used a 1963 Pontiac Tempest two-speed rear end, which was already out of production by the time GM finished the prototype. And since manual Corvettes were in high demand, they couldn't just shove in any old automatic. And so, with no realistic way to mass produce it, the Astro II was banished to the National Corvette Museum, where it now sits as a reminder of what could have been. Would it have worked? Almost certainly. But GM, being GM, decided to play it safe and left us with a Corvette that looked like a spaceship, but still had the engine in the wrong place. And now let's talk about the Astro III, which, brace yourself, wasn't just a car, but a wheeled jet fighter on steroids. If the Astro I was an exercise in aerodynamics, and the Astro II was GM's almost but not quite mid-engine Corvette, then the Astro III was the result of someone at GM saying, you know what? Cars are boring. Let's build a spaceship. Unveiled in 1969, the Astro III was designed by Bill Mitchell, who clearly wasn't interested in making anything remotely sensible. No, this thing had to look like it could break the sound barrier while parked, and it did. With its three-wheeled, jet-inspired design, the Astro III wasn't so much a car as it was a road-going F-16, built for some imagined high-speed highways of the future. And just in case that wasn't futuristic enough, GM decided, you know what? Let's get rid of the steering wheel. Instead, the driver was given joysticks. Yes, actual aircraft-style joysticks to control the car, which, let's be honest, sounds absolutely terrifying. Because when you're hurtling down the road at speeds unknown, the last thing you want is to feel like you're playing a flight simulator on expert mode. But wait, it gets better. Instead of boring old mirrors, the Astro III had a closed-circuit television system to monitor the rear view. Because why look over your shoulder when you can check a screen like a fighter pilot engaging enemy targets? Then there was the engine, which wasn't just some ordinary V8. It was a gas turbine engine, the kind normally found in helicopters. Yes, GM actually thought putting a jet engine into a three-wheeled car was a good idea. And to be fair, that's exactly the kind of gloriously reckless thinking that makes concept cars brilliant. Now, was it practical? Absolutely not. Three-wheeled designs have always been a bit questionable, and while some exist today, they still make people nervous. But did it look incredible? When the Astro III debuted at the Chicago Auto Show, people weren't sure whether to be excited or horrified. It was sleek, low, and utterly insane, exactly what you want from a futuristic prototype. But of course, GM being GM, they never actually built it. Instead, it became a forgotten dream of a world where cars looked like jet fighters and joysticks replaced steering wheels. A world that never arrived.